Hello everybody and welcome back to Watching Walford. I'm Ash, and I think today I have been very slow on the uptake of watching the Hollyoaks, the Corries. So I'm going through and I'm watching a bunch of the stuff, just in preparation for the Christmas season so we can start doing more of the casual viewer's guide to December, We can get some more of that stuff done. But as I'm going along the way, I think it's time I do a bit more housekeeping. So, this episode is going to be about the Pride episode of Hollyoaks, which was a unexpected surprise, but also a very lovely one to have. This was on the Friday 10th of November episode, and we get to see a lot of payoffs to a lot of different things. We get to see a big climax of the conversion therapy storyline with John Paul McQueen and Carter Shepherd. And it is it's reached its initial peak. I suppose it's reached the climax, but it's not necessarily. I feel like we still have a decent way to go, at least for now. We also saw a well-needed conversation between Perry and Nadira, where they both kind of put things to rest, Kind of went, yeah, fucking hell, Nadira. I mean, yeah, Juliet was great, but man alive. She did do some pretty dodgy stuff. She helped me at the wedding. Also got to see John Paul and Scott kiss, which was a lovely little moment, nice bit wholesome. And then Scott and Sally's kind of talking through, kind of like, look at where we're at, proud of being here. And also we got to see Steve and James kind of go through their issues and try to figure out a way forward as they both kind of hit an impasse. And it was a very lovely episode. I'm not going to have any real bold takes or anything, but fundamentally, I think it was a really wholesome episode to have. And it was really nice to have some reflections on, pride and on, being gay, being bi, being ace, being any part of the LGBTQIA plus community. It's because we have we've come a long way. I'm asexual. So I guess I'm technically a part of the community. But I'm a very heavy ally, and I will always generally, I simply having any anti-LGBTQIA plus issues, I think's archaic and stupid and closed-minded. I am very open-minded, and I just simply want everybody to be able to live their life and be happy, whether it be being woman, men, trans, non-binary, it doesn't matter. Just any of the above, and whoever makes them feel loved. And that's the biggest important part. I want people to be happy. So it's always good to have that measuring stick of look at how far we've come. Because, through my lifetime, I've been here 23 years. Obviously, growing up, you had, the F slur thrown around like there's no tomorrow, like, you don't like women? Yeah. And like, I'm not gay. I'm not. It's really closeted, like, nobody I went to school with is gay, apparently. And, slowly through time, then you kind of got the Tumblr period where everybody's mocking all of the people who are a lot more focused and a lot more, well, they'd feel like Tumblr would be taking the mick out of, and I'm just kind of like, I don't understand why people are having issues with this. But this episode was a good way to simply reflect on where we are. And as said as well, we do have a long way to go in terms of acceptance. Obviously, we've had gay marriages and soaps for a while. We've had it, go ahead, but no, I don't think many's embraced it nearly as much as Hollyoaks has. It's just most Hollyoaks characters despite being gay, have the caveat of having children, which is good fun. And most of them not by surrogacy. And it's nice to know that we are moving forward and we're moving ahead. So what actually happened in the Pride episode? Well, you had the first peak of the John Paul and Carter story, where John Paul, before anything dodgy happens, starts to realize he goes to Carter like, look, I've sinned. Scott kissed me and I didn't pull away. And this is a big point. Carter gets very upset and disappointed, almost like an angry dad, and just kind of looks through. But then slowly John Paul starts to realize that Carter's obviously been practicing conversion therapy, gay conversion therapy. And John Paul quickly realizes, someone did predict that John Paul will realize before it goes too far. I don't think we're at the peak of this story yet. I still think that Carter's going to continue for a couple more months of being heavily closeted. But it's the start, right? It's the hints. And obviously Carter slowly realizes through time, when questioned about the conversion therapy, that there was once a boy who he saw as beautiful. That's the only way he could describe it. But unfortunately, his dad just told him, look, that's wrong. You don't love him. It's not real. It's all fake. You need to just move on. And obviously, being a religious man, wasn't necessarily comforted by much of the texts in like a much religious scripture, because, well, I mean, a lot of people take a lot of anti-gay sentiments from the Bible. And it is one of those things where it's kind of wild to see. And, but slowly through time, this all breaks down, and Carter just goes, John Paul's just like, look, I'm not ashamed of my life. It's not a blip. It's not something I'm doing for fun. Like, it's just simply how it is. It's my life. It's how I want to live. And the main point is obviously Carter is like, why me? And, Carter's like, but I want to help you. I want to save you. But then he calls him a beautiful man, and this kind of makes them like get all kind of, whoa, like the penny drops that Carter's doing this because he's interested in John Paul. And they have a big kiss, and they seem to have a shag. And it's a progression in the story. This conversion therapy storyline was kind of, I mean, obviously it's not done yet, and we're only like halfway there, I'd argue. Like, the rest of the battle is Carter going to be closeted, and he's going to start trying to make a life with someone and be straight. Obviously, I know I'm speaking about this now, but obviously this is like half a month late. But it's been a good slow burner, because you kind of get confused of the intentions, because Carter's not really like made any roots down here. He's not really been super interested in any of the woman, no interest in Goldie or anyone of the like, So you just go, is it really just an interest in trying to change John Paul? I was thinking that maybe Carter's I don't remember the name. I think it was Gareth, the guy who looks like Aaron from Neighbours. I thought it was I thought it was going to be that situation where him and John Paul were going to get together, kind of like how Sammy's brother, when Steve was being groomed by the alt-right, I thought that was going to be a thing initially. But it's going to be a long-winded thing. I think it's probably one of the better queer storylines we've seen in a while, because I don't know, some things just don't necessarily hit as well. And it's kind of been an interesting way to rebuild the John Paul character, because I didn't understand a lot of John Paul until I started rewatching some old Hollyoaks, and it's one of those things where, you see a character just keeping getting fucking stabbed in the ribs, and you go, oh, gee, they've had enough. And I thought it was gonna bring in a lot more pain and a lot more struggles. But ultimately, I don't know. It's just kind of reform the character. He's no longer struggling with alcohol. He's trying to make a better set of his life. Like it's starting to degrade. It's starting to like abrase some of the damage that has been done to the character. And obviously the storyline that made me kind of go, oh fuck yeah, John Paul is yeah, fair enough, was obviously the rape storyline. And his marriage with Steve. But I don't know. I feel like the Carter and John Paul stuff's going to be really good. Obviously, be muddied when they inevitably get together. But it's been. I haven't hated it. It took a different route to the Eric stuff, which got to reign supreme. I was worried that it was going to be a bit too similar. But that was good. Also, just the conversation between Perry and Nadira, to just two people who know and two people who have been through the similar stuff. I do find it funny when people kind of be like, yeah, but Nadira and Juliet weren't that far together. And it's like, yes, I'm sure, but also Juliet was Nadira's first love, right? You know, and you know, I can't fucking speak for experience. I'm absolutely mental and have never really been able to experience any of that stuff. Like love-wise. But you know, like that kind of like, I don't know, it's just intoxicating, I would imagine. Where you just can't stop thinking about it. It's everything you want to be with. Never happened to me, of course. And it's just a really, you know, they had this talk and they kind of set the world to rights. They kind of look, as much as Juliet's dead and we don't want to like besmirch her name, she was a bit of a fucking knob sometimes. Like some of the stuff she did was very selfish. And it's just a shame how it went out, because I would have liked Nadira and Juliet to have had a longer relationship, but it does seem like the Juliet character and the actress just decided that it was time to go. Which is probably one of my issues with that, is that it would have been nice to have Nadira and Juliet spent like a good year together or something, rather than them kind of being together for like 2 weeks. They were together for like a couple months, and then obviously Juliet started the bout with cancer, and obviously she went straight back to Juliet. It was I'll appreciate it, though. I will appreciate it. I think, but it was also nice to see. A part of me wanted Nadira and Juliet to get together, because not Juliet, Nadira and Perry to get together. But simply, I don't know. They're just going a very strange route with Perry as a whole, and not really sure where I sit with it. I dislike the Romeo and Perry. I think it's wrong. I'm not a big fan of it. It's just, it felt like a way to push the storyline forward, and I'd rather you do it later rather than do it the night that Rain died, and kind of we've not even really kind of went through a lot of Romeo's like torment over Rain, because yeah, sure, he did it for the first like couple weeks, but he wasn't. I'd imagine how Rain treated him would be affecting him a whole lot more than it actually is. Which I personally would have done slightly differently if I was doing it. And we also got to see Sally and Scott, you know, two slightly older gays. Sally being trans, Scott being gay. I suppose we also saw James and Steve. They kind of worked through their problems. Steve compared James to Mac. Obviously, Mac was his abusive dad who, like, just hated him for being gay, and like, my son can't be gay, and like forced him to sleep with Donna Marie. And, it was wild. Obviously, they worked through their issues, and I just love Steve. Steve's, in Soap we have those characters that you just love no matter what they do. That's Steve for me. Steve and Sienna on Hollyoaks, I just absolutely adore them to no end. And yeah, we also have Scott and Sally both talking about how far it's come. I initially thought there was going to be a big long monologue from Sally, because I remember them talking about it afterwards, like, oh yeah, no, that's Sally actually. I don't remember the actress name. The actress who plays Sally had this big long monologue kind of discussing how far we've come. And it was good. It was an enjoyable monologue. I just thought it was a bit longer from what I read, but ultimately, I'll still appreciate it. It was a lovely little tale about embracing, I didn't really understand the trans flag. I thought it was just like a thing for solidarity. It was a political statement. But it's just embracing it over the years and actually being very proud of it now. And it's like, yeah, this is nice. It's, it's truly the message of you should be able to be proud of your identity. And that's never really going to be a bad sentiment to have. But it's just, I wanted to just specifically take the time to discuss this because it's important to have these moments. It's important to have these episodes because solidarity with the LGBTQIA plus community is a hard fucking time. Because each step we take forward, we also go back with the rise of toxic masculinity back on the fucking cards. The rise of TERFs in the fucking way. Like every step forward we take a step back. So it's just important to take the time and appreciate what we have and how far we've actually come. And it's just important for this. It's yeah, sure, you may not understand it if you are just, straight or something. You don't, like, it's not for you. But I assume most people can just appreciate that, look, it's not been easy. And we're making progress all the time. It's just important to have for me. And like I said, I'm thankful to be able to have things that show this. It's like the recent season of Sex Education where everybody was queer. And I'm like, yes, this is fantastic. We had trans characters. We had people with disabilities. Like, it was just, that's the world I want to live in. And there we are. So if you didn't like the Pride episode, fair enough. If you're not particularly invested in any of the characters, and it's not like a lot of the characters are particularly, if you're new, you haven't seen much of it, there's probably not as much reason to care. But ultimately, let's just take the time to appreciate what we have. And I thank Hollyoaks. I thank all of the characters and the actors and the actresses and all of the people playing them. Probably, I know it would have been something a little bit out of character. Not out of character, but maybe just Phoenix wasn't about. But it feels like there should have been some interaction between Sally and Phoenix. And, you just have Phoenix be like, I don't know how you do it, say they're struggling or something. I don't know. I think that would have been quite cool to see. But, hey, maybe they weren't around or maybe they just forgot. But yeah, it was, look, it's just something to appreciate that we have. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope I enjoyed this one. I hope people thought about it. What did you think about the Pride episode? I know it's late, but we've been really busy, so I've not really caught up on a lot of the stuff. So I'm just going through now to catch up on all the episodes. So I will just be releasing a bunch of random episodes. And if you want it, sure. But if you don't, fine by me. Thank you for watching. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.